We're good?
Yes, ma'am.
Hey everybody, welcome. I am Natalia Bonner and you are officially here. This is the Patchalong 5.0 block number 3 live follow-up. Somebody's going to ask, maybe I should wait to even talk about this part because you might be confused. But when you, I'm just jumping into it. I'm also stumbling over my words really bad right now. Okay, so I'm going to, like all the other days, do a little bit of live quilting here for you. When we bring the camera down and you start seeing where I'm doing my machine quilting on my block, I'm actually quilting in the position of the 4th block. I mentioned a little bit yesterday that day number 8 is going to be a little bit different live video. So I ended up switching things up. It'll all make sense when we get to day number 8. So as far as the position of the blocks and where you quilt them on your 9 Patchalong, I really don't care. There are no rules when it comes to this class. What I really hope to do is inspire you on your own machine quilting journey. One thing that I've definitely noticed today in our Peace and Quilt Show and Tell Facebook group, which I've loved seeing all of your progress, keep on sharing. But one thing I've definitely loved today is that the block that I've shared is a pretty simplistic block, simple circles. And I am loving how you all are dressing up these simplistic circles. They just make me so dang happy. So a couple of you have asked, what do you do with your design workbooks? This is design number 3 in the design workbook. So what's so cool about our design workbooks is you can scan the QR code and it actually takes you right to the video tutorial. So we have the design all illustrated, a photo of it, and then we also include a few blank blocks. But one thing that you can do, take inspiration from the other quilters in this group. If you're like, I love how so-and-so quilted that block, then make notes and get ideas so that when you're ready to come back and quilt these designs on other quilts in the future, you'll have just this amazing workbook full of inspiration. Okay, now if you're wondering why am I wearing these crazy glasses, make sure you do check out day number 1's live follow-up video. All enrolled students of the 9 Patchalong 5.0 can find that live follow-up. All these live follow-up videos are archived in your classroom dashboard, so you can find them there. Are we ready? I'm going to take them off because they're not the greatest to quilt in, let's be honest. Do you have questions before I start?
Not right now.
Okay, so I'm going to have Brad bring the camera down and I'm going to be doing just a bit of quilting here on my block number 3. Like I said, it is in the position of block number 4. So once you finish quilting block number 3 on your quilt, then you could finish quilting the sashing, start quilting the border over on that left side of your quilt. If you're working on a long arm like I am, if you're working on a sit down or a domestic type machine, you can actually kind of jump around as long as you have everything basted out really nicely. But once you have 3 done, you can quilt that sashing down this side, and then tomorrow you'll be ready to start on block number 4. So let's do a little bit of machine quilting on today's block. So today's block is a lot of fun, and it is one that you could quilt and quilt the full circles in more of like a snaking pattern. If you remember back to like lesson number 1, we quilted full circles using more of a snake pattern, which is an awesome thing to do, and I love doing it that way. But the way I'm showing you how to quilt the circles today, again using the Sway 4 machine quilting ruler, you are also stitching in the ditch as you go, which sometimes just makes the process a little bit easier. So I like to just show you several different ways that you can quilt out designs and end up with amazing results. So here on the Sway 4 machine quilting ruler, on this circle end of the ruler, I have designed this for machine quilting perfect 4-inch circles. Now, what does that mean? Well, first of all, it means don't use this end of the ruler or this curve for marking. When I designed the rulers, I took into consideration that from your needle position here to the outside of your foot measures 1/4 inch. So this circle is not a true 4-inch circle, and neither is this concave side. The hook end here that is designed for marking is a true 4-inch circle. So when using the Sway 4 machine quilting ruler, like I'm doing here today, stitching on 4-inch squares, I'll start by holding the sway 4 so that the straight line that is marked right through the center of the ruler, so I can also rotate the ruler. The lines indicate an X, so I can rotate it a few times and I'm going to get that same curve. But I can line up that center marked line right here on the ditch on my block. This is an awesome way to quilt. You can jump right in. You don't have to do any marking, but you always can. So I'm lining up that marked. Wait, actually, did the power go off? This is real. Hold on.
You have the lights on?
Yeah, that smoke. It's super smoky here in Utah from all these fires, and I wonder if our power tripped.
Do I need to go look?
No, I'm gonna reset it. Sing a song. I know you can't see me right now. I ran over here to my computer to do something, but are there any questions?
I'm going to read this one and I hope it makes sense to you, because I'm like, I don't know. Do you continue the border in the same fashion with the straight lines and sway 5 with feathers and only do the sashing with the bubbles?
On the original sample, yes, that's how I did it. Here on this second version, the practice, or my second sample here, I'm just doing stippling. And I do that to give you a lot of different ideas. I want you to improve not only your free motion quilting skills, but also your machine quilting with ruler skills. Again, there are no rules. So if you're like, I want something different in my sashing than the pebble design, or I want something different in my border than the design that I've shared in the Patchalong 5.0, you can do that. There are no rules in my classes, except maybe be nice and have fun and enjoy the process.
And share.
And share. Share in the Peace and Quilt Show and Tell Facebook group. Okay, so when I start quilting, I like to start with my needle in the down position. I also like to stop with my needle in the down position. When I do that, I know that when I stop and start, if I move away, if I need to readjust, anything like that, my machine is not going to be drifting. So I'm simply going to line up that straight line. I've talked about it about 37 times now, but I'm going to line it up on that ditch, engage my machine, and now apply gentle pressure. This is, I say it in all my classes, I swear, but if you need to like tattoo on your fingers, gentle pressure, so that you remember how important gentle pressure is, then go ahead and do that. You are going to end up with so much better results. I don't even know if that was proper grammar, but your results are going to be so much better if you can just relax and apply gentle pressure. Okay, so engage the machine and then I'll stitch along that curve. So I'm stitching point to point curves. Now when I get down here, so this is the intersect, like this spot right here, that's where I'm stopping on this block, so the point where my 4 blocks come together. At that point, I will stop with my needle in the down position so that I can readjust my machine quilting ruler. Now I'm using the Sway 4 machine quilting ruler to quilt this whole design here, but if you struggle with stitch in the ditch type work, this ruler right here is actually my inside out machine quilting ruler. And I have designed it for stitch in the ditch work. So this notch here on the inside out machine quilting ruler, you can line up right here with your ditch, engage your machine and stitch along that. Then I'll stop and readjust my ruler so I can stitch all the way to the end. But by using those notches here on the inside out machine quilting ruler, you can see that I can really keep my stitching nice and in that ditch. So that is just another little tool. This is our Piece and Quilt Pop Socket ruler grip, and we do have those on our website, pieceandquilt.com. Okay, so I could also use the sway ruler to quilt in my ditch right there. I just want to make sure that I hold it 1/4 inch away from where my thread intersects. So I'm going to reposition my Sway 4 machine quilting ruler again, and I'm lining up again that center marked line on the ruler right there on top of my ditch. And now I'm going to repeat the same process, stitching right down there to where I stopped before. Wow, we are having a wonderful day today. My thread just broke. This one time I timed myself and I could completely rethread my machine when the thread broke in like 13 seconds when I tried.
Oh,
so that's a random fact. I'm like, I should really see how fast, like on average.
We could have a contest.
We could like try to set a world, like a Guinness World Record. Okay, hold my ruler. Something's not right. Sorry, people. Today is just a wonderful day. Were there any more questions while I'm going to actually come over here and check my stitching real quick because I don't know what's going on. Did you have any?
One just came in. I'm just reading it to see, make sure I don't screw it up when I read it. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
This is Jacqueline. She said, I noticed that you use the round section of your ruler. Can you use the inside curve to do the second half of the circle?
You cannot get a true curve here by using the concave side on that ruler. It's not a true full half circle there. So you can attempt it. And if you've marked the design, so if I went through and marked that circle first with the hook end, then I can use the concave curve and hold it over here. But you can see that marked line right there. If I try to hold the ruler, it's more on top of that line. So it's not a true concave circle. Now, you're probably going to ask, why didn't you design the ruler that way? Well, because the rulers actually have a lot of options for not just quilting curves, but I also designed them so that you can use the markings on here and line them up and quilt perfect feather spines. And check out my feathers class if you want to know more about that. Okay, we had a little bit of a thread issue. I think I've got it corrected, but let's continue on. And maybe I should even, when stuff like that happens, you know, my thread starts breaking, usually I'll take out my bobbin and check it. This time there was like a bunch of lint buildup in there that I believe was causing that. So I cleaned out that lint and now we're running good again. So if you ever start having thread breakages or tension issues, start simple. Don't try to like overthink, you know, kind of start stepping backwards. What happened that could have caused an issue to start happening? Okay, so I'm just going to continue and repeat that same process. Wow, we are having a rough day.
3, 4.
Oh, sorry.
I
I wasn't start sweating over here.
Pretty quick nonetheless.
Yes, I have probably done this at least a million times in my lifetime. So often in my quilting, I do use my ditch as the place where I travel from one spot to another, and often get the question, well, don't you get a lot of thread buildup if you have to travel along your original stitch line or across your ditch more than once? Okay, so I probably never do it more than like 2 times. I don't travel over my original stitch line more than 2 or 3 times, but I love using the So Fine thread and the pre-wound super bobs, because when I do end up with a little bit of thread buildup, it doesn't show up. 99% of the time I am also using a thread color that blends. Here I'm trying to use a high contrast thread so that you can see it on camera, and it definitely makes all the imperfections stand out. All of the threads stand out. Everything stands out more. So if you try to start working with threads that blend really nicely, all of those little imperfections suddenly disappear. And again, I'm not the quilt police. I don't believe in rules. So if you believe in rules, then take a million stops and starts. There's nothing wrong with that. So I'll finish the last side of this block by stitching those final 3 point-to-point curves. I don't think I've ever had this many in one video.
It's funny, people are saying it's reassuring to see that you have thread breakages first. That happens all the time. It's
Yes.
part of it.
It's-
Sometimes more than others.
yeah, like I think there was one maybe
Maybe.
yesterday.
One. I think it broke yesterday.
Did it break yesterday? I think I need to clean it real good. Okay, now we'll continue. Yes, I need to clean that machine. This is what happens when I don't quilt every single day. Then it starts to sit in here and get, I guess I am quilting every day, just not nearly like I generally do. Okay, hold on, I'm gonna check and make sure it's a little cleaner. Yeah, there's some lint in there, I can see it. It's kind of crazy, the only cotton I'm actually using on this quilt is the backing. Everything else is like a polyester. My thread's polyester, my panel is polyester, and you still get lint. And my thread is breaking there. My thread is breaking, so I'm going to finish this design later. I don't want you to all hang out here all night while I stop and clean my machine, but I hope you are all able to find a little bit of inspiration, even if it's just the inspiration that, yeah, sometimes my thread breaks a lot, and that's life.
Yeah.
Did you have any other questions?
A lot of people are just happy that your thread's breaking. I think it's
Thank
great.
you, everybody. I will finish this. I'm going to stop and clean it, and yeah, I will get my block finished. But thank you all for joining me again today. Make sure you do keep sharing your progress in our Peace and Quilt Show and Tell Facebook group, and we will release block number 4 tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Mountain Time in your classroom dashboard. And then I'll be live again tomorrow. I'll make sure that my thread's not going to break or anything crazy. It probably will actually, at 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time. So we'll see you all then.